CKJ Crypto News. Crypto Pioneers, I'd like to welcome everybody to today's show. Believe it or not, I believe I cracked the case on the war going on between Gemini, Brad Garlinghouse, Ben Lewalski, Winklevoss twins, Bitcoin versus Ripple. The battle is heating up. From the research I have done with the partners Ripple has, the proof is in the partnerships. I truly believe that Ripple will be number one. There is a financial war going on behind the scenes, and we will get into that right now. It all pretty much started with banking on Bitcoin. I highly recommend that you guys check out this. You can actually watch it, the full length, on YouTube. Just punch in Banking on Bitcoin full documentary. And so I'll show you how this starts off. Well, I'll lay the scene. Basically, what happened is it all started with Silk Road, and basically where Bitcoin really started to gain traction through a lot of individuals who wanted to use Bitcoin to use for transactions and basically break free from the bank. So basically what happened, I believe, is the government started noticing that this really started gaining traction and they started getting in trouble. And on the flip side, we have Ripple that basically Brad Garlinghouse says we have been working with regulators since day one. Now, in this hearing, there's a hearing between the Winklevoss twins representing Bitcoin and Barry Silver's there representing Bitcoin. And Ben Lewalski comes down hard on these guys. It's basically saying Bitcoin is used for money laundering, terrorism. It's not regulated enough. It needs more regulation. And it's even more ironic that Ben Lewalski leaves his job at the New York Department of Finance and now he's a director at the Ripple board. And he also granted Ripple a bit license. And he's made it really, really hard for companies that operate with Bitcoin to operate in New York. Let's get this show started. Don't forget, like the video, smash that subscribe, hit that notification bell. I do daily crypto videos. We will have a live stream tonight. We do live streams pretty much every night at around 9. It's not set in stone, but
when Bitcoin is so volatile and you need to know exactly what price you're going to get. Charlie was raising capital right as sort of I joined. During that process, he came across lots of interested investors who were starting to get a whiff that maybe this Bitcoin thing was cool.
We had an interesting debate early on about do we invest in Bitcoin or Bitcoin companies, and we sort of decided to do both. More towards investing in actually Bitcoin in the asset early days, but also trying to place a few bets in the ecosystem to support the companies, support the entrepreneurs, and see how that went.
A few days after they first found out about Bitcoin, they were in the BitInstant offices in New York meeting with Eric and Charlie. And Eric and Charlie essentially talked them through Bitcoin and answered all of their questions and concerns.
What made you invest in BitInstant? There are a lot of companies and exchanges and websites.
Well, there's the company right there. That's BitInstant. Charlie Shroom. Charlie Shroom went to jail, was facing federal charges for selling Bitcoins to Dread Pirate Roberts through Silk Road. Now, he ended up doing some time on a federal plea, which he was facing life. Dread Pirate Roberts, who actually was running the Silk Road site, actually got life in prison. Now, the Winklevoss twins were actually investors in BitInstant. Now, BitInstant caught hell, and everything really fell down pretty much the day before the hearings at the New York offices. The day before the hearings, there was a lot of drama for looking for my words here. The day before these hearings on Bitcoin, there was a big bust with Charlie Shroom. Now, this is the day after. If you guys cannot tell me this is not strategically planned. Now, this is
battle of ideas, and it forces the issue of whether people should be as free in their handling of money as they are in their handling of speech or religion or relationships with each other.
If you want to have this thing go mainstream, you're going to have the regulators, the lawmakers weigh in on it. One of the first ones who really took an interest was Benjamin Lewalski, very important regulator in the financial world.
Now, this is Ben Lewalski. He's actually left his position after he gave Ripple their bit license, and now he's a director on the board of Ripple. I'm telling you, they're all working behind the scenes. I believe that they're really impressed with this technology, this innovation, this digital asset, this blockchain technology. But I believe from the research I've done that Bitcoin is a little too uncontrollable. I believe they're taking a serious look at Ripple because, yes, it is decentralized through XRP, but the company does somewhat have control over it. And now you see that Ripple is constantly hiring regulators, former Federal Reserve. Glenn Hutchins is invested in Ripple. He's on the board of Federal Reserve. Bernanke, former Federal Reserve, speaks of Ripple. We got Ben Lewalski, who was the regulator who granted the bit license to Ben Lewalski, architect of Ben Lewalski joins Ripple board, and this is him right here. And then you also notice where Brad Garlinghouse is starting to get a lot more bullish on replacing Bitcoin.
And in January 2014 holds these public hearings because he wants to come up with a license for Bitcoin companies.
We believe that putting in place appropriate regulatory safeguards for virtual currencies will ultimately be beneficial to the long-term strength of the industry itself.
Lawsky was essentially given the opportunity to write the rules for this whole new industry from scratch.
The first question is the obvious one that's on everyone's mind. It was sort of unexpected yesterday, but with the arrests we saw, obviously that...
Now here's the problem. There was BitInstant. We got Barry Silbert here. We got the Winklevoss twins here. The Winklevoss twins are invested in BitInstant. Charlie Shroom actually went to jail. And you got Ben Lewalski coming down hard on these guys that's backing Bitcoin. And I don't believe this is on accident. At this time right here, I believe that he already has a deal set up with Ripple.
It's put a bit of a cloud hanging over the industry right now. And so how do each of you react to what we saw yesterday, what it means?
This also led to the FUD. I'll show you that clip right there. But this also led to this FUD right here. Ripple has tried to buy its way onto major exchanges for cryptocurrency. Now you got Brad Garlinghouse right here saying he plans to replace Bitcoin. Of course, that would upset the Winklevoss twins. And with Ben Lewalski joining Team Ripple and being harsh on the Winklevoss twins about Bitcoin, that would create hostility between the two teams. I believe right now there's a financial war going on between Bitcoin and Ripple, and I do believe Ripple will be number one. Now, if you read this article, and I spoke about this prior, Ripple has tried to buy its way onto major exchanges for cryptocurrency. This is FUD. This is FOMO. This is a rumor that's most likely started by the Winklevoss twins. There's no fact to this article. And I've said this prior. Once you read this article, the startup that controls the world's largest cryptocurrency have signed onto the network. Let's just get down to the good part. For its lack of okay, right here, hold on. Which wants to rewire money moves around the world, and yet it has, when it comes to obtaining converted listings for XRP on the two top U.S. cryptocurrency exchanges, Ripple has not been able to close the deal. It isn't for lack of trying. Last year, San Francisco-based companies suggested paying financial incentives to vendors Gemini and Coinbase. Gemini is the Winklevoss twins exchange, according to 4 people with direct knowledge of this matter. So that's hearsay. Hearsay is not admissible in the court. It's admissible in the court of law. This is a rumor, and I believe this rumor was actually created by the Winklevoss twins. You heard that here first. Who asked not to be identified discussing this private information. For all the hype surrounding Ripple and XRP, it is obscene on markets like Gemini and Coinbase is eye-catching. By dangling money in front of the exchanges, Ripple has signaled that its future success hinges part on getting XRP listed on top trading venues. But there's a major headwind in the efforts the U.S. have warned unlicensed exchanges not to list tokens that deemed as securities. That has nothing to do with that. What's going on here is there is rumors started, most likely by the Winklevoss twins, that Ripple tried to pay them $1 million. Nobody ever said, nobody can find any kind of facts of Ripple actually saying they're going to pay them $1 million. I believe this is the Winklevoss twins' way of getting back at Ripple, and I'll show you why right here.
Means for Bitcoin or virtual currency and its future.
I think it further supports that bad guys are going to do bad things, and they're going to use whatever technology is available to them. But I view it as, if the allegations are true and they're convicted, the system works. Our
Are people still doing bad things with Bitcoin? Sure. Is the majority of the Bitcoin activity vice? Not a chance. So I think the issue you raise is one that people like to write about, the media likes to write about, makes great headlines, you get a lot of clicks, you can sell a lot of ads, but I think it's in the rearview mirror.
There are some people in the Bitcoin community from the libertarian side of things that want government to just leave it alone. Would you say regulation is both inevitable, but more importantly, actually ultimately going to be crucial for the survival of virtual currency?
Sounds like a terrible idea to me. Just understand what we're trying to do with Bitcoin. We're trying to create a world where transactions can move globally for free, okay? And making...
If you notice right here, Ben Lewalski smirked when Ben Lewalski said regulation is going to be needed, and he said it's a terrible idea. You can see the mannerism of everybody here. He had to, one of the Winklevoss twins had to take a drink on that one.
These companies hire, some outsourced compliance firm is a bad idea.
It'd be great in any industry if you could just open the door and let folks run out and give a shot.
We may choose not to invest in a company if they can't get licensed by you.
If the choice ultimately is between preventing money laundering on the one hand, and I probably even shouldn't use the word money laundering because it's too nice a word, frankly. Money laundering is the facilitation of all kinds of horrific crimes that I think everyone in this room never wants to see happen. Acts of terrorism, funding rogue nations, etc., all take place through massive money laundering. Now, if the choice for the regulator is permit money laundering on the one hand or permit innovation on the other, we're always going to choose squelching the money laundering first.
I agree that I don't think anybody wants money laundering. When we first saw Bitcoin, about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I don't think anybody would deny that it was a bit of a wild, wild west because there was no regulation, there was no framework to evaluate the asset, evaluate companies, determine who was compliant, who was not. And a Wild West, attracts cowboys. And I don't think anybody here would disagree with the fact that a sheriff would be a good thing.
A lot of, I think, the entrepreneurs feel like they have to sell.
Basically, you see right here the way Lewalski was looking at them, like, yeah, right, whatever. I'm telling you, at this point right here, this the Winklevoss twins, Barry Silbert, and these are the backers of Bitcoin. And they're pretty much at the mercy of Ben Lewalski as far as getting regulated and getting their ideas to go through. I mean, it gets really more interesting. This has been Lewalski again.
That we wanted to really take our time and get it right. What happened was, though, Mt. Gox collapsed. And I think that gave us a real renewed sense of urgency. And we realized that if we got regulation right, we could create more confidence in Bitcoin, frankly, as opposed to the sort of loss of confidence you saw not only from the Silk Road case, but also from the collapse of Mt. Gox.
So your sense, though, of the regulators right now,
Right.
I assume you've had conversations.
The discussions that we've had, I think everybody recognizes the innovation and doesn't want to stifle it. They just want to make sure that there's healthy regulation so it's used in a safe and productive manner.
I'm not giving up on New York. New York's giving up on me. I can't even turn on a Bitcoin machine. An ATM, I can't turn it on. I can't make trades. I can't do anything.
This is the application to be approved to do basically what we've all been doing for years now, which is building Bitcoin companies in New York. And a lot of stuff in here I personally feel is unethical, so we're not going to comply with it.
You see that right there? Eric Voorhees, Lewalski's Bitcoin crackdown is like North Korea. Greatest security risk. Lewalski's new Bitcoin rule akin to spying on users.
Which means we have to block New Yorkers entirely. And when an entire new industry starts blocking a place like New York that used to be the financial center of the world, hopefully some of those politicians will take notice.
The point of it is to, one, make sure there are enough consumer protections, two, make sure we have adequate cybersecurity, three, make sure that the companies are adequately capitalized so they don't collapse upon themselves.
You've seen a tug of war between the hardline.
Really, really quick, if I can just fast forward a little bit. It's even more funnier. Let me show you one thing. Ben Lewalski says he won't help Bitcoin startups navigate the rules he created, a public retort in recent criticism. So this has been Lewalski. As you can see, he's pretty much against Bitcoin. But, like I said, he left his job and now he works at Ripple. A bit license is a common term for businesses of virtual currencies issued by the state of New York under regulations designed for companies. The regulations are limited activities involving the state of New York and its residents. People residing and located and having a place in business or conducting business in the state of New York residents under these regulations. The license was introduced and designed by Ben Lawski, New York's first superintendent of financial services, in July 2014. And what's really got really interesting right here, it came in effect on August 8, 2015. At least 10 Bitcoin companies announced they were stopping all businesses in New York State because of the new regulation. The New York Business Journal called this the Great Bitcoin Exodus. The Great Bitcoin Exodus. And I do believe that. I believe that Ripple and Kowalski and regulators are working together. I believe that the government loves the technology of the digital asset. They love the technology of the blockchain technology, but Bitcoin is too free. It's hard to control. And this is exactly why Brad Garlinghouse says he's been working with regulators since the beginning.
He joins us right now. And you know, David, some say Ripple could be the next Bitcoin. What do you think, Brad? Is that a compliment that Ripple could be the next Bitcoin?
Well, I think if we're solving a real problem and it's at scale, then I think it's a compliment. I think the most important thing that is going on in crypto is understanding what is real and what is just hype. Some, I think, may look back on Bitcoin and find that it was the Napster of digital assets. What I mean by that is Napster was the first to digitize music and demonstrate, hey, if you digitize music, you can do a lot of cool things with that. But ultimately, they were circumventing trademark laws, they were circumventing royalty payments, and government stepped in, and Napster was not successful. But Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, they were very successful. I think what you'll find is that maybe the next generation of digital assets ends up solving some of the original problems that Bitcoin set out to solve.
So,
bam, there it is right there. Brad Garlinghouse just took a shot at Bitcoin. And it wasn't like that in the beginning. If you've been following crypto for a while, at first they were playing nice with Bitcoin. Now they're going at Bitcoin, stepping up to Bitcoin, challenging Bitcoin. Because now the Ripple has positioned itself to try to will take the #1 spot. They have the backing. The proof is in the partnerships. They have Ben Kowalski. Bit license architect Ben Kowalski joins Ripple board. And if you go to right here, ex-regulator and bit license creator helps blockchain firms after all. The former sheriff of Wall Street is now representing a firm creating blockchain solutions for big banks. The thing is, they want to have more control. The new private office, formerly most active Bitcoin regulator in America, Ben Kowalski, is now working for Ancox, a former creator of blockchain solutions for big banks. The Kowalski Group was on press contact when he announced the completion of its distributed ledger test with Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Citi, and Credit Suisse, JP Morgan last week. The former superintendent of New York Department of Finance faced criticism when he departed the New York Department of Finance last June. Some have alleged that Kowalski built for himself a revolving door and first creating the bit license regulation from which now virtual currency businesses operate in New York, and then leaving to form his own private legal practice. And if you go down to here, some have farther accused Kowalski of deliberately engaging in conflict of interest. They allege that Kowalski not only created tough rules in order to advise on how to navigate through them later. We'll be doing a broad range of financial consulting on some financial technology and public relations. The Wall Street Group spokesman Matthew Anderson was quoted by Reuters on saying Wednesday. So this is huge. This is huge. And this takes us back to the original article right here. Kowalski perhaps is known for his bit license work. He departed last month. And guess where he was at? The partner of Kowalski spoke at possible regulation for initial coin offerings at Money 2020 conference in Las Vegas. And this 2020 is where American Express announced that they were using Ripple technology. This is where Ben Bernanke, former Federal Reserve, announced that Ripple was the #1 technology. I'm telling you, Ripple pioneers, it's going to be one hell of a ride. All the chips are starting to fall in place for Ripple. There's so much more going on behind the scene than I believe that we can see. All the chips are starting to line up. Ripple is building one hell of an A team. Alrighty, crypto pioneers, that's my video for today. The CKJ coin will pop up. Smash that coin. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all tonight at the live stream. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.